Thank you. Thank you to the panel. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. So what I'd like to do is summarize what we've heard today and demonstrate the solutions that are available and how we can go about, applying some of these real-world issues and protect ourselves against them. So what do we hear today? We heard from Greg that we should look at security as threat-based and analyze threats as they come in and build security around real-life threats. He also spoke about the human firewall, training your people. And you've heard that, and you'll see here, the weakest link that we have is our people. We need to evolve. Standing still in cybersecurity, buying an appliance, buying a specific subscription, and thinking you're good, that's going to get you into a lot of trouble. I've seen a lot of companies do that. We are brought in typically after an event where a client said, hey, I just spent $50,000 on this firewall. Why should I move to TetherView? Well, who's maintaining that firewall? Are you thinking about the new threats that are out there? Is your firewall, do you have a team, a CISO, that's managing that and activating and working to protect you against those? What we heard also is that the threats come from everywhere. Ari spoke about threats from insiders, insider trading, people trying to get ahead in there. Today, this morning, Uber announced that they're going to pay $148 million for the breach that happened several months ago. And that breach, could be argued that it was business-driven. 600,000 driver's licenses of drivers and their driving records were sold, probably on the dark web. Now, if you're a startup Uber competitor, wouldn't it be great to know every single Uber driver in the world and their driving record, and you can go and poach them and pay them an extra 25 cents, a minute that they're driving? That's really valuable data. And so you need to think about the different threats and what's out there. We also heard Andy speak about a kill switch. People don't realize that if you have a prolific IT environment that's sprawled and your data is everywhere, you have servers everywhere, you've got stuff in Amazon, stuff in Rackspace, stuff at Microsoft, where do you kill that switch? We had a client last year who inadvertently didn't go through any training for their staff, and they had an insider kind of hack, a social media phishing scam. And what happened was the CEO went on vacation and was all over Facebook. She's a Facebook junkie. And she posted every single minute of her vacation. She even said very nicely to the hackers that she's going to be offline on a cruise for the next 2.5 hours. So what do you think happened that exact moment in time? When we went back and we analyzed that threat, we found that the moment that the email came in that requested every single tax return to go out, it was around tax season, came from a spoofed email to a bookkeeper who didn't want to disappoint the CEO. And the CEO makes those normal requests. So it's really important that you train your people, and I can't stress enough that people are, without a doubt, the weakest link here. So what other problems are out there? Well, the path to the cloud, everybody wants to move to the cloud. And if we were to ask everyone in the room today, what does the cloud mean to you? I bet you I would get twice as many answers as we have people. Moving to the cloud is extremely complex. It creates additional security concerns. It creates data sprawl. It eliminates the ability for you to have control if you're using a public cloud. Security, it's very difficult to identify a solution that you can just bolt on and say, hey, I'm going to go to Amazon and I'm going to bolt on this one solution to solve for security. It's impossible. And if somebody tells you they're selling that, just go the other way. You're better off buying snake oil to cure your rheumatic issues. And evolution. This one is near and dear to my heart. When you deploy a technology or you make an investment in technology, no one has a crystal ball. No one knows where technology is going. But you want to make sure that your baseline, your underlying technology has the ability to evolve. And what you're going to see is that TetherView is constantly evolving. What I showed you earlier was Sync. And we built Sync because we had people that use our product. Now, if I didn't have any people using my product, and I had the ability to build out a Mission Impossible type of environment where you had to go through 5 different man traps, retinal scan, et cetera, I might not be so concerned. But the threats are constantly evolving. Cost is also something that everybody fails to talk about, right? Everybody wants to deploy technology, but at TetherView, we firmly believe that you need to reduce costs, as you go there. And if we're giving you the best IT without reducing costs, what have we done, right? I don't think we've done our job. We need to be able to evolve. We need to be able to reduce your costs as well. And control. Again, it has to be the right size, as Eric said. The right size IT is important. But what we've done is we've built a platform that's scalable. We have clients that are as small as 2 users, and we have clients that are as big as several thousand. We have a Fortune 100 company that has given us a small piece of their environment. And we have built a solution that can adapt and build the right size for the specific client need, for the specific client's problems, for the specific client's business use. And that's important. One thing I do want to point out, and we've kind of alluded this term, I'm surprised no one brought it up, it's the concept of shadow IT. So what is shadow IT? Eric's nodding his head because it's the bane of his existence, I'm sure. Shadow IT is you have a new employee who really wants to show off to the team. And they have nothing nefarious intended. So what do? They want to work from home. But the IT administrator says, absolutely not. We're not going to let you remote into the system using GoToMyPC, which a lot of companies actually still use, which is amazing. And we're not going to allow certain types of remote desktop situations because they also pose a huge, huge hole in your environment. So what do? They email themselves a bunch of critical documents, maybe to their personal email, or, as I mentioned earlier, they install Google Docs, Dropbox, they use OneDrive, and now you've got data everywhere. And there's really nothing you can do once that happens. So it's our philosophy at TetherView that you have to give your team the appropriate tools. And if you don't equip them, you're going to end up with a massive shadow IT team that's going to drive everybody bonkers. So no good private equity summit would be worth its weight without some numbers here. And just making sure it's showing up right. Great. So no good private equity summit would be worth its weight without numbers. Just to give you an idea of the adoption of cloud, right? Because everyone says it's starting to change, but this gives you a concept of how well adopted the cloud is. How much that people have really accepted the idea of the cloud. By 2021, it will be a $300+ billion. I think it will actually be a little bigger, depending on how you break that in. And the market that TetherView's in specifically is 2 markets: the infrastructure as a service market and the virtual desktop as a service market. And collectively, by 2021, those markets will be over $100 billion. So it's really important to know that you're not the first one there, right? We don't believe in bleeding edge technology unless it's absolutely necessary. We believe in cutting edge technology that's proven, that has been through the paces by either Fortune 500, big enterprises, so that we can deploy it for small, scalable, right-for-fit solutions. So I also want to show if you guys could just go back, there we go. So I want to show you who the players are in this market. We've talked about $300 billion plus market here. Amazon today still controls 44% of that market, okay? And I can tell you this, I've spoke to a few people in the room. We have a lot of clients who use Amazon because we do believe in a multi-cloud or hybrid cloud strategy. And again, building the right solution for the right customer at the right time. When you try to go to Amazon, your bills, not only are they 7 or 8 pages, but it's really impossible to predict. So we've been working with BDO, as well as some others, in trying to build analytical tools to help people understand what their costs are at Amazon. so that we can compare them. Because we know that as we grow, we need to break into that market, and we suspect we will, and we're doing that today. So technology, the sale of technology, my background before I lost my mind and started a tech company, I was in the healthcare business. And I walked into technology knowing quite a bit about the business, but I never realized how inefficient the market was. When in my previous life, when someone wanted to buy an MRI, they go to a website and they buy an MRI from the manufacturer. Well, in technology, what most people don't realize is how many people are in the middle. And what ends up happening is not only does it complicate and add cost and make it an extremely inefficient purchase, okay, but it also distorts the message because everyone has an ulterior motive. So when you're out there and you're doing your investigation about deploying new tech or moving to the cloud, you really need to build that perspective. You need to talk to the BDOs of the world, get them to advise you on what the risks are of the different tech. You need to speak to your business people. And again, don't overbuy. We always see it all the time that clients are overbuying because they think if they spend $50,000 on a firewall versus $10,000, they're good. Well, that's absolutely not the case. It's the same thing as saying you're compliant with PCI and you're secure. I've seen a lot of clients who have made that mistake. The other thing I also want to back to the other slide though is don't stretch your IT team too deep, right? We all tend to do it, right? Most of the people in the room are business owners or operators or managers of some sort. And you can't think of your IT team as the solution for everything. There's a few of you in the room here today. What happens is that you go to the IT guy, and if you think about the request that you make of your IT team, let's say you're a 300-person accounting firm, and you go to the IT director and you say, hey, can you fix this phone? Then you tell him, hey, we got to launch this marketing email. Then you tell him, hey, we got to fix the website. Oh, by the way, the firewall's got to get fixed. The air conditioning's going. Now, think about all the different specialties. So when you employ or deploy any technology, make sure it's fit for purpose. Make sure you've got the right people manning the shop and you're paying attention. This is a great quote from Einstein. We believe in it fully. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. We've coined the term frictionless cloud. And to me, what frictionless cloud means, it's the fewest amount of moving pieces in an IT environment. So when you look at our environment, and obviously we can't get into too many details, but when you look at our environment, you say it's built for purpose, right? There's not a lot of extra moving pieces. And then the question always comes, why are you including so many different things in your offering? Well, the reason we're including it is that if it's managed by different people, now we've added friction. We've added breakpoints that have to get managed. And it eliminates visibility. It also reduces your resolution time when you have a problem. So what we believe in is an extremely comprehensive solution. So we're handling the delivery of the end user experience through a virtual desktop. We're managing your file collaboration tool because that's part of that user experience. We're handling security in forms of authentication. And we are now going to be launching our mobile device management service, which is going to take the passwords of the user's email out of the user's hand. So you will not have users being able to add their emails to every ad hoc device that they can get their hands on. They will have a centralized password with lots of controls, such as geofencing and multi-factor authentication. So we will be able to audit when they touch the data, where they touch it, and what data they're accessing from different locations. A great solution that we like to deploy is first starts with the people. You really need to classify your data, and that's mission critical. So if you classify your data and then you come to us and say, TetherView, these are the crown jewels. These are the 600,000 people that make up my business. Without them, I do not make a single dollar. I need to protect that data. We take that and we put it far, far, far away from as many people as possible. And we segregate it in as many different ways as we can, and we also try to mask it if possible. But if you have your data everywhere, that's impossible to do. And it's very expensive if you don't have the infrastructure on the back end. So we really believe in deploying the controls and segregation and identification of your data. So what is TetherView? TetherView is an extremely comprehensive solution. As I said, we handle everything from your user experience to security, compliance, and we back up your data in multiple ways, which we can get into offline. But there are multiple backups. We frequently have clients come to us and say, we were breached, or we were hit by a ransomware, and our backup was also hacked or encrypted. And unfortunately, I've seen that a couple of times. And the client comes to us and says, help. And I said, I can't, because you're not giving me any data that's worth anything. So we have a couple of techniques that we do to protect against that. So it's important that you're planning, you're getting ahead of that, and you're not trying to react and come to a TetherView or a BDO, at that moment. You got to think ahead of it. So our answer is, again, the frictionless cloud. Before TetherView, it's cumbersome, right? There's a lot of moving pieces. It's hard to secure. It's difficult to manage. The costs are unpredictable because you have so many different experts that you need to manage each portion of the environment. So what we've done is we've centralized all that. We give the client a turnkey IT private cloud platform that handles all this for them, not because of motivations of greed on our part, but because it makes sense, right? If we're managing all this stuff, number one, it's cheaper. Number two, because we have the expertise to do it, we're going to do it much better than you can. And of course, from a pricing perspective, we do lower the cost of IT dramatically for a lot of our clients. And what's important for me personally is to make sure that the billing, the methodology that we build is extremely transparent and easy to understand. And of course, we're always evolving. So real quick here, we have deployed security and compliance from the ability to dot an I and cross a T. Without getting into the details, we can meet just about every certification out there today. We have attestations from third parties that we provide. And very uniquely to TetherView, when you sign up with our vanilla box solution, we're the only solution that provides that certification out of the box by default. So you don't have to go out and spend that money on additional certifications if you don't change what we're doing. So we've thought ahead, we've planned for that solution there. Our customer support, because we're a small organization still, we're fierce, but we know our clients. When we onboard a customer, we dedicate an engineer, maybe 2 engineers, depending on the size of your environment. We architect it, and that engineer is dedicated with you throughout the life cycle of your account with us. So, of course, we have 24/7 coverage, but if you're during the day, you're going to get that same familiar face. Try calling a public cloud service. I've done it. I've tried to call Amazon. There's no number. It can't be done. And that's really our philosophy there is customer service as well. So what do we provide? We provide security as a service, this AAS kind of philosophy. I'm not a big fan of the terms, but we certainly provide security as a service, compliance as a service, I guess. We reduce costs. Our file collaboration and sharing tool is a great solution. We provide business continuity, not disaster recovery. A lot of clients come to us for our virtual desktop solution as a backup to their production environments, especially our larger clients. And we provide the ultimate immobility. Well, our first client that we brought on was an architecture firm. And the reason we brought on an architecture firm for our first paying client was because everyone said it could not be done. You cannot run CAD and that heavy graphics required solution on a virtual desktop. So we did it, and we did it wonderfully. And we have several hundred architects and engineers on our platform today. We also have healthcare, that's very, very healthcare applications that are extremely resource hungry. And what you see here on the bottom left is the bandwidth that we allocate to each virtual desktop. So what that means here is that you have almost no latency to the internet, and you have a 1 gig, actually more because this meter doesn't go above it, you have a 1 gig connection to the virtual desktop. So when you're sitting here in Lincoln Center and you're on your 4G phone, which might be 3G in here, or you're on their free Wi-Fi, you're able to securely download files and work at an extremely high speed. So when you're opening a 10 meg file that you need to get to, it downloads instantly without any latency. So as we wrap up, how do you engage TetherView, or what should you be thinking about, not just from a TetherView perspective, as you move forward? The concept of the private cloud, I think, is mission critical as you move to the cloud. You have to have control. You need to have visibility. You need to have those tools in place as you think about the future and where you're going. And multi-cloud is important as well, because let's face it, TetherView has several clients, many clients, who are leveraging Amazon for specific parts of their environment. And so we firmly believe in that. We've also coined this term called standby virtual desktop. And real quick, what that does is we provide virtual desktops in a standby mode for a very low price monthly, where the user can self-help and turn them on at a moment's notice and have their existing physical desktop replicated for them, ready to go. It's a great tool. It's a good first step into a private cloud or into the cloud. So if you're concerned about the cloud, or if you're a larger organization and you just made an investment in it, you want to consider a standby virtual desktop as a good step. And the last thing that I want to say here, from our solution perspective, is our mobile device management tool that's going to be coming out. This is going to be the next level of control that we can put on the users. But we also realize that the tech was not ready a year ago when I first looked at this. And today, we've got the tech ready to be able to leverage mobile device management so that the user experience is secure. And the user can't hurt themselves is really what we like to do. We don't like our little kids running around the kindergarten with sharp scissors, outward facing. So our contract is one of our most unique pieces here. When we onboard a client, we sign a contract, we take a refundable deposit, we build the production environment for the client. And if the client or anybody involved in the process is unsatisfied for any reason, we walk away, we rip up the contract, and we give them their money back. And we invest a lot of time up front to build these environments. The other thing that we don't do is we don't rush people to go live. Most of the time, customers come to us and say, I want to go by this date. We say, great. If we can make it, we're going to do it. And usually we're ready on our side. But the customers tend to forget about these little applications that they only use once in a while. And so we're very, very cautious about turning that switch and letting the customers go live. So I'd like to conclude by thanking everybody for coming. I'm really, really thankful for our distinguished speakers and guests. And I'd like to invite everybody to take a test drive of TetherView. Happy to do it for 60 days. And look forward to speaking with you guys in the future. Thanks again for coming. Appreciate your